We're making bread today, and what you need is up here. You need a large bowl, you need a mixing spoon, you need measuring spoons and cups. I have 2 cups here. I have my measuring spoons here. You need a large cutting board, and you need a knife eventually, not yet, but you do need one. You need some paper, you need some plastic wrap, you need parchment paper. You also need a cookie sheet and a cooling rack, and you are going to also need a smaller pan that you're going to be putting in the oven. Those are all the things you need. What we need for our recipe is we're going to use flour, salt, the yeast packet we sent home in your big sack of items to use, and water. That's all we need. Okay, so let's begin. So we're going to take and put 3½ cups flour into our mixing bowl. 3½ cups. 1 cup, ½ cup. Here we go. Remember, when you're putting flour into the cup, you don't want to make it come over the top of the cup. You want to make sure you just have 1 cup. So sometimes it's a good idea to take and scrape off some of that flour. So you have just 1 cup. 1 cup. Now here's the 2nd cup. I'm going to scrape it off so I don't get too much. 2nd. Here's number 3. Bread takes a lot of flour. Number 3. And then for ½ cup, I'm going to use my other measuring cup. My half measuring cup. All right. So we have 3½ cups of flour in our bowl. Now we're going to add a ½ tablespoon of salt. This is a tablespoon. A ½ tablespoon is kind of hard to measure. You can try to measure with the big tablespoon, but I'm going to use a different measure. I'm going to use a teaspoon and a ½ teaspoon. Then that will make a ½ tablespoon. So I'm going to cover my flour up, close it up, get it out of the way, and I'm going to use my teaspoon, add it to the flour, and my ½ teaspoon, and add it to the flour. Okay, close up the salt. Now we need that package of yeast that we sent you. My package of yeast has disappeared. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. This is the rapid rise yeast. It's almost like magic, how quickly it rises. So I'm going to cut off the top, and I'm pouring the yeast over the salt and the flour. And then you can kind of mix it up. So So the salt and the yeast, you don't notice it. It just looks like flour now and there. Okay, so now we have to get 1.5 cups of warm water and add that to our flour mixture. I'm using my warm water just from the sink. It doesn't need to be hot. Warm is perfect. And pour that into your bowl. Do the same with your 1/2 cup. And now we're going to stir it all up. This is why you need a big bowl, because stirring all of that water into all of that flour is hard work. It's almost like making Play-Doh. So here it's coming together. There's still a lot of loose flour on the bottom, so I have to keep stirring. Now it should be coming together kind of in a ball. I still see loose flour on the bottom of my bowl here. And once you get all your flour mixed in with your water, you will have a bowl of dough at the bottom of your bowl. Just a big ball of dough. When you have a big ball of dough, I'm going to get a scraper here to scrape this off. Once you have your big ball of dough, you want to let your dough rest. So we're going to cover it. And we cover it with the plastic wrap. Or if you have more time, you could cover it with a dish towel. That would work too. Okay, we're ready to cover this over. My bowl is so big I need 2 pieces. Another one. All right, there we go. I have my cutting board here and I have lined it with parchment paper. And I'm going to sprinkle it with flour now. Sprinkle a little flour over the parchment paper. Here we go. And now I'm going to get my dough. Here's the dough. Look at it. It's nice and fluffy, and I'm going to pull it out of the bowl and put it on the parchment paper. So here we go. There. And what you do next is, first you have to get lots of flour on your hands. This is messy, but it's fun. So get lots of flour on your hands, and you're going to pat the dough out. And then you are going to fold it in half. And did you notice I put more flour down? You need lots of flour. And I'm patting it down again. And I want to make sure there's plenty of flour underneath on the parchment paper. And I'm going to fold it in half again. And and then I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to turn it into a ball. I'm just going to make a ball shape. So lots of flour with the dough, turning it into a ball. Want to make sure it's a nice ball that's all stuck together. Does this remind you of playing with Play-Doh? It's sort of like playing with Play-Doh or play clay. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay, now when you have your ball the way you like it, you're going to set it down onto the parchment paper that has a lot of flour on it. And you're going to put the folded side down. So this is going to be my top side. I think our dough is a little bit dry. So I have to get some of that dough incorporated into the drier dough, incorporated into the wetter dough, the more moist dough. Okay, here we go. Start the ball again. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle some more flour around on the parchment, put the ball of dough on top of the flour and the parchment, and we let it rest for 40 minutes. So now we're ready to put our loaf into the oven. You have to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. And I'm going to open the oven and show you how your racks need to be. One needs to be on the very bottom, and one needs to be in the middle. And your cookie sheet is on the middle rack, upside down. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take the metal pan and pour 1 cup of very hot water inside the metal pan, and we're going to put that on the bottom rack. This is just to give some extra humidity to the oven. And then we're going to pick up our parchment paper and the bread, and we're going to put it on the cookie sheet, but I'm going to pull the cookie sheet out a little bit. Put my water in a little bit too. Okay, so like that. And now I'm ready to pop the bread onto the cookie sheet. Be very careful. This is a very hot oven. Close the oven door, and you're going to cook it for 25 to 28 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer to 25. And in 25 minutes, we're going to take it out. Here's our finished product. Our bread is now ready to cool, and we'll be eating it soon.